Okay, so what I want to talk to you about is partials. I feel like a lot of people don't really go into detail about partials and how it can potentially be used to maximize certain gains and make life a lot easier for yourself. Now, it, this is going to be more of a take partials or not to take partials. Again, this is going to have to relate back to your data. So what I'm going to show you is my data and how I've come up with a plan after I've got enough data to potentially make life a lot easier for me and potentially make more profit by going for less reward to risk. So let's just jump into this video and hopefully it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I've got a microphone. This is me now. Okay, so as you can see, we have a full TP on the left and we have 50% partials on the right. What I want to do is kind of discuss and show you what I kind of mean by how you can maximize potential profits with going for less reward to risk. So for most of my data, I've been doing it for ages. A 1 to 2 is my jam. All right. It's kind of, it just hits more often than not. However, there are occasions in certain markets and certain conditions where it doesn't quite hit a 1 to 2. So let me just break this down. So if price hits here, it makes a full 1%. If price hits here, we make 1.5%. Okay. Obviously, you want to have at least more than a 1-to-1. I'm just going to put a 1-to-1 on the screen just because it looks pretty and it's balanced on the screen. And plus the fact that some people do go for 1-to-1. So I just want to see potentially how you think about it and let me know in the comment box down below. But essentially 1-to-1, 1.5. If you go for over a 1-to-1, win 10, lose 10, because my win ratio is roughly 55% to 60%. So if I win 10, lose 10 on a 1-to-1, then I basically break even. But if I win 10, lose 10 on a 1 to 1.5, I make at least 5%, right? Which is fine. I'm perfectly fine. Do that in a month, over 20 trades, great. Now, if we go to 1 to 1.2, but with partials. So reason I'm saying with partials is because I would say maybe 50% of my trades go straight to 1 to 2. 50% go almost halfway and then come back, or slightly above half and then come back and stop me out. So that's roughly my data with a 1 to 2. And a 1 to 3 is most of the time price does go halfway. So a 1 to 1.5. As you've seen from all of last week's videos, if you haven't seen it, the link will be up there somewhere. Just click that and you'll see my performance from last week. I did 3 trades Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All of them hit partials at a 1 to 1.5, but never quite got to the 1 to 3. For whatever reasons, I have no idea. But it is what it is. I can't control that. But what I can control is how I manage my trade. Because if I'm noticing that price goes most of the time to a 1 to 1.5, there's potentially not much point in me going for a 1 to 2. Because if I go for a 1 to 2 and it hits a 1 to 2, I'm going to make a 1.5. So why don't, this is how my brain works and how I'm discussing it. And obviously let me know in the comment box down below if you do the same process. But why don't I just have a closer TP, not partial, and go for a 1 to 1.5, and that's me done for the day. My one and done. As you guys know, I like my one and dones. So not only is this TP gonna be higher probability because it's closer, it's gonna actually make me more than if I go for a 1 to 3 and partial. Now I know what you guys are saying. Oh, why don't you just go for 1 to 3 and don't partial? Because the odds, the data of mine going straight for a 1 to 3 and not coming back and stopping me out and doing some tomfoolery is probably about 30% of the time my trades are going to go straight to 1 to 3. So again, it depends on your personality, depends on your risk tolerance, it depends if you're a personal account or funded account, depends if you're in a challenge, right? All these are variables. So for me, if I can comfortably, and at least probably 80% of the time, when I get into a trade, price is most likely going to hit a 1 to 1.5. I might as well just go for a 1 to 1.5 and take that percentage rather than probably go for a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 with partials. Because there's nothing worse than going for a 1 to 2, price almost hitting TP and then coming back and stopping out break even, and you've taken nothing off the trade. I'm a firm believer of taking money off the table when the market makes it available to you, because you just don't know what's going to happen next. And it's always saved me in the past by, if price is going over a 1 to 1, at least maybe move to break even, or at least secure some sort of profit. right? I know it's really hard for you guys to do that on a low account, because if you've got anything under 100k, so for example, if this was all 100ks, right? Because I feel like the monetary value is going to be in the back of your head, you're just not seeing it, right? So that's 1k, right? If you hit TP, you make 1k there. If you make 1.5k, if you hit full TP here, right? Now this is where it gets interesting, because obviously this would be 1.5k also overall. However, you secure 0.5% a break even, so you secure 500, right? At this level. Let me just put that there and maybe change this to 1k. And then when you go for the big one, 1 to 3, we're securing 750 at this level. And then we are getting 1.5k at the next. So you can see roughly monetary value wise how this can play out and what the price is going to do to you psychology wise. Because if you are on a 100k challenge, and let's say you do this, let's say once a day, well, I trade Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so let's say at least get two trades a week, roughly a minimum, probably 2 trades a week. Well, let's just say both of them work out for fun. Okay, well, that's still 3k a week on a 100k account. I know you're going to say, well, it's just like whatever, you're just making it up, but this is the reality of these reward to risks. This is what people don't bring into account. So if you're seeing price go to 1.5k more often than not, and you're TPing, you're scoring 500 quid for a day is fantastic, by the way. Let's just not act like we're all rich here, because 500 quid a day is fantastic, and I don't know what you would have to do for a job to earn 500 quid a day. Either way, most people don't earn 500 quid a day. Most people earn 500 quid in a week. All right. So if you're seeing, oh, I'm securing TP and then again stop that breaking 500, but it goes to 1500, one, that's going to affect your psychology. And two, if you're in a challenge, it's going to make it 10 times harder for you to pass because you're not sort of maximizing the growth of your potential trades. Now, let's not be like, oh, you can't get in again. Because if your strategy goes, you're riding a wave, you TP and you come back, you might be able to get in 2 or 3 trades, but only go for 1 to 1.5 per trade and make 3-4.5% in a day just by going for multiple entries. Depends on your plan. It depends on your risk tolerance. It depends on your trading style. For me, it's a one and done, get on with your day sort of thing, and just don't overtrade. Personally, for me, but if you're different, aren't you? But for me, I feel like this is where people mess up and they don't really understand the power of partials. Because if you know that your data, you are definitely like let's say 60 to 70% of the time get on 1 to 3s, and you aren't taking partials, then that might be something you want to add into your trading, because you're like, oh, if I just took partials here, those trades that didn't work out would still be great winners because I took partials and I said move stop loss into profit, whatever. So rather than making a 1 to 3, maybe overall we made a 1 to 1, right? And if you're finding yourself consistently doing that, oh, I'm only making 1% for going for a 1 to 3 most of the time, well, then in your head, you might as well, why don't I just do a 1 to 1 and be done a lot faster without the stress and make it way more profitable in the long run, because that's where price is going to go, right? That might be your thing. And then for me, this is why I came out of it. I was going for 1 to 2s, realizing that price was not always hitting a 1 to 2, but most of the time. But depending on certain market situations, price will get close and then come back and stop me out for break even or whatever. So that's where I brought in the partialing at halfway at 1 to 1, because that was high probability partialing. It worked great. But what I was noticing is that is more when I went for a 1 to 3, my partial was getting hit at 1 to 1.5, and then it was stopping me out. So really, this is the sweet spot for me, is a 1 to 1.5 at full risk. Well, not full risk, but full TP rather than partials, because I'm in and out the trade faster. It's a higher probability of price playing out, and also I'm making more percentage by going for less RR and not partialing. So hopefully this makes sense. Okay, so I hope that has made sense. Definitely look at this, go back through your data. Again, all these results came from me looking at the data. I'm not just making it up. I'm not just trying to make a YouTube video for no reason. I feel like this is something that's overlooked, especially in trading, And I feel like most people would be profitable if they had correct risk management. And again, this is going to vary from personal, this is going to vary from funded, this is going to vary from the rules that you have at the day. But in this case, right, let's just use last week as a data and then I'll finish this video up. I did 3 trades. All of them hit a 1 to 1.5. I was going for a 1 to 3. I partialed, right? So if I just did what I just suggested, is instead of partialing at a 1 to 3 or 1 to 1.5 but going for a 1 to 3, if I just did full TP at 1 to 1.5, that 1.35% would have been 4.5%, give or take, minus for errors, whatever. But overall, it would have been 2.5-ish percentage I would have made with all the mistakes that I did as well. Obviously, they weren't just perfect trades. There was mistakes in there. However, the trades that did partial, and if I didn't partial and I did the full TP, I would have netted more percentage per month. So this is what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to be going for a 1 to 1.5 reward to risk with full TP without partials and just seeing what the data tells me. Again, the data is king. If you don't look at your data, you're not going to know what's going on. You're not going to know how to improve. This is a consistent game, guys. But yeah, if you're enjoying it, let me know down below, and I'll see you on the next one.